Welcome back to Ask an Elder. And what we wanted to do is get you brothers together again, right? And give bits and pieces of the story from One West. Okay? So first question, and as we always do, when did you first come into the truth and what year?
So on behalf of all the brothers, Israelite camps and schools that are out there, this is the House of David, and my name is Barak, Elder Barak. I want to say all praises to Yahweh Bahasham, HaMashiach Yahweh Shai, Kwam Yasha'Allah HaLoyah. And the brother's question, what year did I come into the truth, and where did I come into the truth? The Mosai, through the Spirit of Mosai, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, I came to the truth in 1984. And of course, it was at One West on 125th Street, the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge, all right, in Harlem. The Mosai, through the Spirit of Mosai, brought me in. At the time, what was I? I was going to announcing school. I was studying communication arts. It was in Manhattan. And of course, as I was walking from the school, I seen the brothers on 34th Street and Broadway. All right, they were teaching the Bible, and the Spirit of Mosai had me stop on 34th Street and Broadway, and that's when I began to hear the brothers teaching. And so from that time on, I seen them teaching again on 44th and Broadway. I stopped again, and one of the brothers named Kazak came up to me and remembered me from 34th Street, I think the week before, and he gave me a piece of literature and told me where the address of the school was, and this was around April of 1984. And then from that time on, I went to the school that Monday, and Monday was Lahab's class, and I came into the class, and from that time on up until now, I've been in the truth, and the Spirit of Mosai has been upon me to receive the truth, and I thank Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, the Mosai brought me in. Okay, shalom.
Okay, my name is Eldar Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Yahweh Shai. My beginnings were in 1986. Matter of fact, I was living in Washington, D.C. at that time. And prior in 82, I had just got out of the military. And, you know, going through the same thing as young black men go through and stuff, you know, in life and so forth. And from D.C., I was coming up to New York just to hang out. And I saw the brothers one Saturday or Sunday on the legendary, on the corner of the legendary 44th and Broadway. And that's where I saw the brothers. And took a flyer and went back to D.C. And I met two other brothers that's in D.C. They was talking, you know, the same conversations and talk that I had saw the brothers in New York speaking. And I started asking questions. So they said, well, look, this older brother know more than we do. We're going to take you to this older brother and introduce you to him. So when they took me and I met this brother's name was Ash Ben Yehuda. And we used to hang out, you know, he used to speak the Yiddish, sing the songs and so forth, and we used to walk all over D.C. And he kept talking about, well, I'm the old man's lieutenant, the old man this, the old man that. Mm-hmm. Now, when I finally came to New York and got involved in the Israelite School at UPK on 125th Street, it come to find out that the old man that Ash Ben Yehuda was referring to was our Bibbins. Okay, and later on, I think about 3 or 4 years later, I met H. Ben Yehuda once again in New York City. Okay, so that's my beginnings of coming into the Israelite School of UPK. But the year that I came in '86, now in New York City in the 80s and early 90s was rough. It was a lot of things going on in those years. Now 86, the brothers was in the street, when I first saw them, the brothers was in the streets teaching, and they was going into the situation of 1984 when elderly sister Eleanor Bumpus had got killed, you know, by the New York City Police Department. And from there in '86, the era of Larry Davis, you was riding the subway trains, you was hearing people talk about, yeah, Larry Davis. And also the Howard Beach killings of Michael Griffin. And the brothers from 125th Street went out to the Howard Beach area, and they began to teach out there, and their audience was all white audience. And they were just blasting. Okay, now 1987 was the Tawana Brawley incident. So like I said, there was a lot of things going on in the 80s. And you had the school, you know, Masha and Ariyah, the older brothers, the 7, they was connected and breaking bread with a lot of political figures. A lot of brothers, like Tawana Brawley's lawyer, who was, one was C. Vernon Mason. C. Vernon Mason was in relationship with Ariyah, but he left, you know, I guess, whatever the situation were. I'm looking at maybe they was trying to treat him, you know, for his ranking system like we was being treated. Okay, you couldn't bring the brother up on our ranking system. Okay, but Ariyah made a video and tried to get the brother back involved with us. Later on in the years, Khalid Muhammad used to come up to the school, sit in the classes. And after that, Khalid Muhammad was going out, so-called Jew, white man says, you know, we the Israelites, I am a Hebrew. Okay, but Khalid Muhammad used to sit in those classes. Okay, that's my beginning, brothers and sisters, that's my beginning.
Come.
Right. Shalom. My name is Banyamin. All praises due to the Most High and Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. It's a beautiful thing. Kwame Yashral. My first beginning, I came into the truth in April 29, 1987. Saw the brothers in 44th and Broadway. I was coming from the movies. I saw this brother, short, dark-skinned brother. All I heard was his voice before I saw him. And he was thundering. Boom! His name was the White Tazar. The White Tazar. So I heard his voice. I said, what the heck is that? So I stopped. I saw the sign. Saw the brother speaking. So I was with my homeboy, and he was speaking on the same topic I was talking about, smoking weed. I said, see what I told you? I told you about smoking weed. You're not supposed to smoke the weed. And that was his topic he was teaching. So I stood there. It was a Sunday. And I saw him. Yeshai came up. And then when Yeshai came, I said, oh, shucks. I said, damn. And I saw him. I said, damn, this dude know martial arts. And he was thundering, man. He was wearing his ninja boots. I said, damn. And the crowd was a big crowd. They were listening. I said, no, I can't. I said, no, I like this, man. And I stood there listening. I listened to your White Tazar, Yeshaya spoke. And then Chazak came up. When Chazak came up, he was cool, smooth, calm. And he was just teaching, man. And I stood there for the whole 2 hours. And then when he came down, I went up to him and I said, yo, so where y'all from, man? He said, we're from Harlem. I said, Harlem? I said, we're in Harlem. He said, 1 West, 125th Street. I said, what? I said, well, you all here? He said, yeah, we all here every Sunday. I said, yo. So I said, listen, I said, where do y'all meet? He said, we have a school. So I said, well, give me a flyer. I took the flyer. And I said, what? It was a Sunday. I said, yo, I'm going to be up there Monday. I was up there the Monday at 6:30. I went up to the school, but the school wasn't open yet. I went upstairs, went up to Harlem, got up there, and who did I see at the door? Yaquab. Yaquab, the elder Yaquab. So I said, is this the Israeli school 1 West? He said, sure, brother. Come on in, brother. This is the Israeli school of UPK. So I started talking to him. He said, come on in. And he showed me around the school, looking at the pictures on the wall. And he said, where you from? I said, well, but right now, I live in the Bronx, you know. At the time I was living in the Bronx. Then a year after I moved to Brooklyn. And we sat down, we talked, and that was a Monday night Lahab class.
Right.
And then went to Lahab class. And a week after, went to Lahab class. And Lahab said, yo, Troop, read. I said, me? He said, yeah. So I started reading. He said, I see you're Benjamin, right? I said, yeah. He said, okay. So I said, he said, your name is Banyamin. And I took that name from that day. Lahab, you know.
And this is powerful history, and it sounds like the beginnings.
So, for the brothers and sisters who come in after this era, just explain who is Yaquab.
Well, Yaquab was Ariel's father. He was the elder of the school. And he was a dynamic brother. And he used to teach a Wednesday class, but he was like the main person that opened the school. And he introduced everybody that came through the doors.
Yeah, he was like a pillar.
Yeah,
Yaquab like a
the
pillar.
foundation. He was like the treasurer. He was like everything for the school. He kept
Videos.
He kept everything in order for the school. And he was, at that time, he was like in his late 70s.
Right.
And he came in, he said, brother, he said, when you come in this truth, brother, everything starts from 0 and it ends at 9. And it starts all over again. It's a cycle, brother. It's a cycle. Remember that. And he was a good teacher, man.
Let me say this too.
Yeah.
For the younger brothers, you can come through that door unless you go through Yaquab. He was always there. And I used to sit on that step, you know, One West, you had like a little step there, you know, thin step. And I used to sit and wait for him. Now you can go in the building, but you can't go inside the school because it's locked, because you had other rooms in the building, but you couldn't get in the UPK. So I used to sit on the steps, you know, just thinking, man, you know. And when I hear them keys, that's Yaquab. You know, he carried a bunch of keys on his belt. Yeah. So when I heard them keys, I said, there you go, jump up, man. You know, just the happiness come up. You know, salute Yaquab, shalom. You know, I didn't know the full salute at that time. I just shalom, and brothers go through the Yahweh shalom. I said, until I learned it. So Yaquab, he opens the door, go up to the classroom. We open the door to the classroom. We just sit in, Yaquab just kick it to me. Just start breaking things down, man. That's the first brother that you see when you go to school. That's who you got to go through, because he's always there. He's opening it and he's closing it.
Yeah. And let me say, also Yaquab was also teaching, even up in his late 60s and early 70s. He was still teaching. You could catch him in Harlem. Sometimes Yaquab would teach by himself.
In the street.
And there's videos on Yaquab. So, and we got some of those videos also at the House of David. But Yaquab would still teach up until his late 60s and 70s. But also, like the scriptures say, the Mosai teacher, he said there are many teachers in Yahushua, but not many fathers. Yaquab was like a father. All right. When he taught his Wednesday class, he would teach you like you were his you know, like he was a daddy, a father figure. And so the young men today need that. They need more father figures, because Yaquab cared about the brothers. All right, there was a lot of caring, especially when I came in there. Yaquab again had that couch, and he would sit. When you come in, he would sit right there on that couch, just waiting for the brothers to come in, to introduce you to, if you were new, introduce you to the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge, and also if it was his class, he would teach the class. But Yaquab was always there, whether it was Lahab's class, Yeshai's class, Kazak's class, Shaw's class, Yaquab was there. And so he was always there. So he was like a father figure. And then you could always go to him for anything. Anything that you needed, you can go to him. And that's the first thing that I noticed when I went there, that you have this father figure there. He's an elder, and you felt like it was like a family, because he was gonna deal with you like a father. So if you did anything like a little brat, or you know what I'm saying, like a little child would do, Yaquab was gonna reprimand you. And Marshall too, well, we'll get to Marshall, but Yaquab, because he asked about Yaquab was gonna reprimand you. And that's what he did. And so for all those years, up until even the time he passed away, Yaquab was that type of elder. And that's what Israel needs now, and more elders, rather than brothers who are out there trying to get exaltation, exalt themselves. We need more fathers. Like the scripture said, we need more fathers. So,
One more thing too.
Yeah.
In the school where Yaquab used to sit,
yeah.
it was a big beam from the ceiling to the floor.
Like a pillar, yeah.
Yeah, like a pillar, because Yaquab was the pillar.
The pillar, right.
And his chair used to be leaning right up against that beam.
Yeah.
That's what he said if he wasn't teaching.
Yeah.
That's where he said councils,
Right.
everywhere. Anytime, that's where he said, right before that beam.
And then too, we had a public phone right in the hallway, and Yaquab will always answer the phone whenever you call the school.
Yeah.
The number was 212-289-9923.
Right.
And Yaquab would say, "Yes, hello, this is the Israeli school. How can I help you, brother?" Yeah, so he would always answer the phone right there in the hallway, man.
That's it.
And that phone would ring. People call all the time, man. Yeah, man. So those are the glorious days when we came up in the Truth in One West, man. And it was militant. It was good for brothers in that time. It made us men.
Right.
You got the pros, you got the cons, you got the good, you got the bad. And if you were spiritual, you took the best education that you got to make you a better man or a better student. You understand? It's one thing my grandmother always said: pick sense out of nonsense, right? So even if you are taught the negative, you learn a negative, but you took it
Right.
for educational purpose, not to regurgitate the same negative postures or behavior.
Exactly.
And the positive you took and you enforced that, and that's what we took from One West. We took the negative and the positive, and we built on the positive. A lot of brothers said One West was all negative, but there was positive in One West too.
Yeah.
Right, because it made men. It brought you into the brotherhood. It brought you into a militant state. It brought you into awareness, and it made you to stand up to be a man for the Most High. Right?
Yeah, no, and I think we should kind of stay in that vein with, you mentioned that Yaquab taught on Wednesdays, right?
Yes.
So how many teachers were there? What kind of, days were set up?
Right. Well, I'll go into a little bit, then y'all add on.
Yeah.
Well, at the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge, when I came in, there was every day of the week there was a teacher, okay, which I find to be really rather intelligent, because each teacher had a certain quality and a gift, from the Most High that they would teach with. All right. So Mondays, and it was basically the 7. All right, it was the 7.
Right.
Mondays you had Lahab, like Ben was saying. On Monday you seen Lahab teaching. When I came in on that Monday, who was going to teach Lahab? All right. I also seen Yeshai that Monday also. And then of course Tuesday was Shaw. Shaw was one of the 7. All right, he taught on Tuesdays, and he had his gift and his way of teaching. Right. And then Wednesday, Yaquab got out of his chair and he taught the class. And Yaquab had his way. Yaquab had 1,000 scriptures, brother. He was going to give you scriptures.
Wow.
Wasn't too much talking with Yaquab. He was going to give you scriptures.
Can I say
Yeah,
this?
go ahead.
Off the top of his head.
Yeah, off the top of his head.
Like we would come in and, okay, let me get this class together and have notes. I mean, if you go to Yaquab's class, your front page and your back page will be full of scriptures.
Full of scriptures.
And Yaquab will just throw them scriptures to you off the top. And your page is front and back full of scriptures. And he's coming out, you writing them down, but he's coming from here off the top. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, and that was Wednesday. And then Thursday, you would either have Mike Allah.
Yeah.
There was another brother named Mike Allah there.
Kazak
He wasn't
first.
Yeah, and Kazak. It was mostly I would see Mike Allah and Kazak. They were like alternate or whatever. But so Kazak was one of the 7. Mike Allah wasn't, but he was still there.
Right.
And Mike was fluent in that Hebrew also, very good. And so that was on Thursdays. And then Friday was Yeshaya. Okay, and Yeshaya had his gift. And Yeshaya, he has the ability. He's a great orator. He bring out history. All right, and and then he could really rap to you and speak to you, and really bring it home. But Yeshaya's class was filled up. It was always filled up. It was always filled up. Yeshaya added a little comedy, to his teaching and everything. But I'm saying he would bring out the scriptures, and Yeshaya, the way he brought the scriptures, he would bring it to you in an orator type of fashion, authority type fashion. So you would really get it, you know. But a lot of times we would add the comedy and so forth. So that's why his class was filled up. And so that was Friday. Saturday was a Shabbat. That was Ariel's class. And Ariel, you could tell, was a teacher that the Most High sent. Understand? Ariel was in the truth. He was born in the truth. That was Yaquab's son, Ariel. And most of what you see about the 12 tribes, the 12 tribe chart came from Ariel. All right? And Ariel would tell you, and he sat back and told us that the Spirit came to him to really go into the 12 tribes and the 12 sons, the patriarchs, and really break down the region, the land area they would be in today, the personality, the character about them, and everything. And he went into it. Yeah, other brothers like Bunyamyan and other brothers brought it on another level, another stage, and they brought up the 12 tribe chart. And there's other brothers that are doing it, because you know the Most High brings it to us in stages. So other brothers are bringing even more information concerning the 12 tribes. But Ariel was one of the first that really brought the 12 tribes and brought it to light, all right, and brought it to where now you could place a name to those tribes and who they are today. Ariel brought that. So Ariel was a teacher on the Sabbath. He brought the Hebrew. A lot of brothers learned the Hebrew from Ariel, learned the 12 tribes, and Ariel was a teacher. You can see the gift on him that the Most High gave him to teacher. So, and he taught that Shabbat service. And so,
can I say this too, man?
Yeah.
And we had to be at 6 o'clock in the morning, because at that time when I first came into the truth, I used to work. And before I went to work in the morning, I had to be at work at 8 o'clock. I would be there at the Sabbath service and leave at 7 o'clock and go to work. So we used to get up early to be at this Sabbath service to check it out.
Like you're supposed to.
Yeah, so how many brothers today will do that?
6 o'clock in the morning.
To be at the school and then go to work. You understand? At that time, when I first came in the truth, that was dedication, man. You know what I mean? I'd get up there, start the Hebrew class and the service. You know?
Yeah. Right. Let me say this too. It's a story that Masha told us. You know, we used to sit around, you know, Masha, Ariel, Yaquab, the seven, and they used to tell us stories, you know how they came in. Masha said he and Ariel used to be in the streets teaching. And so Masha said that he told Ariel one time, he said, look, brother, you're going to have to help me teach. You know, because Ariel was reading for
remember
Masha.
that story.
You know, he said, look, brother, you're going to have to help me teach. So Masha started smiling, started messing with his mustache. He said, man, when I gave Ariel the mic, I never got it back. so Ariel straight teaching. And I have tapes with Abba Bibbins. Abba Bibbins was going into the 12 tribes, but Ariel took it to the next level. Okay, Abba Bibbins was going into the 12 tribes. Yeah.
Right. Ariel was more like the teacher. Masha was more like the leader, and Yaquab was more like the pillar. So you can see how the Most High sometimes, like during David's reign, David had the three: David, Zadok, and who was the captain? Joab.
Joab.
Right. Established it with those three. So you can see same thing here. It was more like that. Understand? Those three were the ones who established. And I'm going to say this also. He spoke about Bibbins and Masha, Ariel, and Yaquab came out of Bibbins school, which Bibbins came out of the Commandment Keepers. That was Rabbi Matthew's school. So they came out of the Commandment Keepers. But I would say this, that once Masha, Ariel, and Yaquab took over the reins of the Israeli school of UPK, they began instituting the gospel, okay? Because until that time, you didn't really hear the Gospels, the New Testament, and Hamashiach being taught the way it was taught from, well, you know, from 1 West on the 25th Street during that time. And of course, the Spirit had it where we would go out to the streets, and that, you know, the street speaking was instituted on that level, the way Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge did it, on a higher level. We instituted Hamashiach Yahushua. And the Gospels. And so before then, of course, it was more of the Old Testament and so forth. And we're going to tell you about some of the Forerunners, but they brought in that gospel, and it brought the truth on this level now, on a higher level. And so and that was the Spirit of the Most High in them at that time.
Right, because Bibbins he already had them in the New Testament.
Right.
Because their scriptures, Bivens was going into talking about Jesus and this and that. But when Marshall, when they took it, they kind of took, Yahweh Christ to the next level with
Right.
the understanding of it.
With the understanding.
See, Bivens was just going into the New Testament, teaching Jesus, this and that. But for us putting the emphasis of who he was, that came from Marshall and Arian Yaiqua. Because they went deeper into it, because they was already in the New Testament. Bivens took them there. So they just went deep into it.
Deep into it, right. Come.
Okay, so there was definitely organization here day after day in terms of who was teaching the class, right? And brothers had different specialties in different areas. But going back to the name, let's talk about the name a little bit, right? We know it as One West, ISUPK, the acronym. Tell us about how the name came about of Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge.
Go ahead, Ash. You can.
Well, when I first came in, it was called the Israeli School of UPK, which, Universal Practical Knowledge. Then later it was changed to the Israelite School of
Right.
UPK. And then on down the line, I think it was changed 2 more times, but I think maybe we had left by then, the Israelite Church of UPK. I think we had left by then.
Right.
But when I came in, it was the Israelis.
Israeli school.
And the reason being
Okay,
it's
yes,
called
Israeli.
Israeli, because we're not Israelis, okay? We're Yasha'Allah, of course, we say Israelites. It was changed, it was, Yaiqua, I remember him saying, he changed it, made it Israeli.
So the emphasis could be placed and know that,
Yeah.
To identify.
Yeah. So, and you would find that out with a lot of schools before the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. I mean, when Prophet F.S. Cherry and William Crowdy and Josiah Ford, when they started their schools, which we're going to that a little bit, when they started their schools, they used names that you might hear out in the world, all right, that the so-called, Jew uses, okay, or the so-called white man uses, all right, or it might sound a little bit churchy, what we would deem as, well, that sounded like a Christian church. But they were Israelite churches though. Okay, Josiah Ford has an Israelite church, William Crowdy, Prophet F.S. Cherry, understand? They had Israelite churches. But their church was named, a certain way so they could, I guess go along with the mainstream, what's out there in society, so that they could, begin their church and start the Israelite school and go forward. But so I can see Yaiqua, Masha, and Nariat doing the same thing. So they call it Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge, but it was later on changed to Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge.
And where was the school, what was the original location of the school? Where was it located?
We're located in Harlem.
One West.
1 West 125th Street. You won't see no evidence of it now because 125th Street is being, gentrified or whatever they call it, right? Gentrification. But nevertheless, it was about maybe in the late 1960s when Rabbi Bivens started the school, all right? His school that he had, all right, coming from the Commandment Keepers, and Marsha and Yaiqua Ariel was part of that school. Rabbi Bivens was part of 1 West 125th Street. He was, okay? We're finding out that he passed away between 1972 and 74, and somewhere between there, somewhere around there, all right? His Hebrew name was Eber Ben Yoman.
Rabbi Eber Ben Yoman. Okay,
Eber Ben Yoman. And he passed, of course he passed away, he was killed in Newark, New Jersey. Oh, that's where he got, stabbed in Newark, New Jersey. I believe he passed away in the hospital, and passed away. But yeah, he was stabbed there. But then he passed it on to Marsha.
Right.
And then Marsha took it over from there. And this is around the early 1970s. Okay, so
can I say,
yeah.
we personally never had a chance to meet him.
Right.
We never met him.
But we met his students that was
Right.
left,
And they would
Right.
teach us the history and what happened and how the school got started and everything.
Right. I met, matter of fact, I used to work with one of Rabbi Bivens' students, a brother by the name of Jacob. I believe he's still living. He would be in his 80s, because he was in his 60s at that time when I met him. The brother used to give me cassette tapes of Rabbi Bivens speaking, and he used to give me, where he used to show me booklets that Rabbi Bivens had written. And Rabbi Bivens had written one book called Marks of a Lost Race. And if any brother, new brother back in the 80s and early 90s come through the doors of One West, it was one yellow or gold book, was a guidebook. It was called A Change of Worlds. Now when you read it, some of Bivens' writings from Marks of a Lost Race is in that guidebook. Now a lot of brothers have his name with a V in it, but Brother Jacob showed me a booklet that Bivens wrote. It had the word Bible, and it had Bivens' last name linked up with the B's in Bible. So his last name is Bivens with the B's, not the V.
Correct.
Okay, his name is Rabbi Bivens with the 2 B's in it, because he had his name linked up with Bible. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Ash was saying, we do have tapes with Rabbi Bivens teaching, and yeah, he would reference the New Testament at times. Okay, he would reference the New Testament. So we know he was in the New Testament, but
he was,
like he said, Arya, Masha, Yaquab, they brought it on another level, and they went into the Gospels and really brought it to another stage, another level. Understand?
Right, because if he brought them in the New Testament, and reading the New Testament, it speaks about who Christ is.
Right.
You know, who Yahushua really is. So, but there's tapes where he breaking down, you know, where the whole city came out to meet Jesus, and he really don't expound. But Masha, Arya, and Yaquab, they went into it. And that's how we got the teachings. But I believe the school that Bivens set up was called the School of Tanakh. And then it, you know, went into the other names and so forth.
Right. Yeah. And could I say this? I mean, when a school says, you know, the truth, you know, they started teaching the truth in 1969 and they got the only truth, we got to realize the Most High had brothers all the way back into slavery that knew that they were Israelites, coming all the way up until today. I mean, you talk about Nat Turner, who was on the corner. That's like we do today, go on the corner and start teaching the Bible. Nat Turner was doing that. So he found out that we're Israelites. I mean, we got to stop this, you know what I'm saying? You find out Sam Sharp in Jamaica.
Yeah.
He found out. That's why they hung him. He found out he was Israelite and then said, no, we're going to rebel. Because I'm finding out something in this Bible that's talking about us. Understand? You know, and then you got Vesey. Right. And you got Gabriel Prosser.
Right.
All right. You know, and then you bring up, you got F.S. Cherry, you got William Crowdy, Josiah Ford, and these brothers, and they rebelled against slavery because they were reading the Bible, and they read how the Most High showed us that, wait a minute, this is talking about us, especially in Deuteronomy 28, okay? And so now we're finding out Harriet Tubman, she had a Hebrew name. They were finding out, she was finding out that she was an Israelite. So it goes all the way from slavery to St. Louverture. He was reading the Bible, and he found out, you know, so we're Israelites. So for a brother to say it started in 1969, no it didn't. You had Israelites that knew they were, brothers who knew they were Israelites all the way back into slavery. We're talking about the 1700s all up until now, okay? And these brothers, F.S. Cherry, William Crowdy, Josiah Ford, they even started Israelite schools. And then these schools are still running today in Philadelphia, Oklahoma, okay, Chicago, Kansas. Okay, you know, we're going to talk about Ben-Ami too. You can say what you want about Ben-Ami, but he has the only successful Israelite school in Israel, our land.
50 years.
50 years. Okay, it wasn't just him, it was the leadership of Demona. It came out around late 60s, 66, and traveled by way of Africa, Liberia, and then the Most High established them in Israel. Yeah, they had some hardships, but he had faith. People died on the way, you know, but yet the Spirit of the Most High was on him to keep going. and now he's established there 50 years. So you can say what you want. Another forerunner. So you can't say it was just, and that was in the mid-60s all the way on up until today. So you can't say just 69 Israeli School of UPK, ISUPK, and so forth. You just can't say that. It started with them. Okay?
Right, and then in order for them to leave to go to Israel, they had to know they were Israelites, and their elders and their foreparents had to know they were Israelites too, in order for them to leave in 66.
Right.
So they probably had an Israelite congregation while they were there before that, before they went to Israel.
Good point.
Right. That's a very important point too, because if we're newer brothers who are coming into the truth and they're just getting the One West story.
Right.
It's important to highlight that, hey, there were other people, individuals, schools that were set up even, where they were still filtering and pushing the truth. Not necessarily the Gospels, but they were still, identifying and able to identify who they were according to the Scriptures.
Right. They were pushing the fact that we were Hebrew Israelites. Okay. Marcus Garvey knew Israelites. Okay. You have a lot of these leaders, what's his name said, Du Bois? He knew we were Israelites. A lot of those leaders knew that we were Israelites.
Right. Didn't you brothers, when y'all went to Des Moines, the brothers said that Martin Luther King used to come over there?
Okay, that's another highlight.
Martin Luther King.
Okay. Martin Luther King found out that we were Hebrew Israelites.
His father was
because Jordan in Tel Arad, Israel, where you find out that's the real Jerusalem and real Mount Zion in Tel Arad, Israel. We're finding that out now in the scriptures that Jordan owned that particular part of the land at that time. We're talking about 1959. Well, it came out, and you can search this, and you got to Google it. You got to really search that the Jordan government at that time told Martin Luther King, you and your people could have this part of the land, okay? But when the Israelis had that little war with them, they came and took that part of the land over and said, no, you ain't giving that part of the land up. We're taking it over. But Martin Luther King went over there, traveled over there, seen the projects, because I walked the projects, okay, that's over there now in Tel Arad, Israel. And I walked all the way through it, and I said, there's a lot of projects over here. They built those projects for our people here in America, okay? And the Jordan government said that Martin Luther King, you and your people can have these projects. You can come back over to the land and have these projects. So, of course, that was the Mosai, because it wasn't time yet. It wasn't time. That was the Mosai, but still, nonetheless, that's a highlight, because our people don't know that part of the history, that Martin Luther King seen those projects over there that was built for us. Because what was that show? That they know that we're the real Jews, we're the Israelites. Okay, and so why would he offer those projects in that part of the land at that time Jordan owned in Tel Arad, Israel, to our people? Why would he do that unless they know? Okay, what did Gamal Nasser say? How could the Jews leave Israel black and then come back white? So we have to understand that.
And Barak mentioned when Martin Luther King made the speech, he see the promised land.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dream. He actually saw it.
He's seen the promise. Okay. Yeah, he said, I have a dream, right? That one day we're going to get to the promised land. So the Spirit of the Most High was showing him in that speech, and he read the scriptures. Yeah, the promised land is meant for our people. Okay, we're the Israelites, we're the chosen of the Most High. So the Spirit was showing him that. Okay, go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, I think these highlights are definitely other classes and other topics that we could branch out upon. Yeah. So going back to One West in the 80s, what was the growth like at that point?
It grew. We're talking about when I came in '84. You had a few brothers in there, like Ben mentioned, your White Tazar, and I can mention a few other brothers. It wasn't, I mean, you could, all those brothers you could fit in one class when I came in. Right. But once the late 80s came, and then the early 90s, it grew. And then once we had several camps, okay, we started materializing, and we had a camp in Brooklyn. That materialized. We had a camp in Wall Street. That materialized. Queens. That materialized, and then of course Manhattan, that materialized, so it grew. Okay, and Brooklyn was one of the biggest. Brooklyn had two camps, two big camps. We took them about 25 to 30 men at a camp, and so that's how it grew. And so we took them about small One West, okay, had thousands of brothers coming in out of One West coming to the classes. it grew very, very big.
One room.
Yeah, one room.
Until they
Yeah.
began to rent the room across the hall.
Right.
Now, a Passover, the first Passover that I did was in 87. The Passover was in that first class, that little small room with the 7,
Yeah, that's right.
the brothers, women, and children in that small room until the fruit came in. Because Yahweh used to always set up the prayers for the fruit. He used to always tell us, y'all better be ready when the Most High send that fruit in. And when the Most High sent that fruit in, brothers was like, so even Marshall, even the leaders. So as we was growing, the leaders was growing along with us. Because when the fruit came in, brothers had to structure. They had to set up structure. Okay, your officer here, officer there, this camp, that camp. Okay, we got plumbers, electricians. Okay, we got cooks, we got this and that, garment makers, and so forth. So we all was growing at the same time. And when the camps began to build, brothers began to, and I remember watching one video, brother sent me a video. I forget where this brother from. He called us what, alphabet Israelites or something, ABC Israelites, something like that. But those initials and that name came from brothers giving their camp names, like the Brooklyn camp, Sons of Thunder, the SOT camp. Okay, brothers used to sit down. Okay, let's become such and such.
Mount Zion.
So the Mount Zion. Now, brothers tell me that Ariala was the camp leader. But Ariella was out in Chicago. He wanted to name it the Gangsta Disciples. But that's a street game in Chicago. Brother said, no, brother, you can't do that. So they came up with the name of Mount Zion. So when we sit down in council for the SOT, brothers were throwing names around. So I said, what about Sons of Thunder?
Right, because we were using no mics, so our voice was thundering. We didn't use the sound effect.
Right.
We didn't use sound effect.
And I remember the police came up, turn that mic off. Brother said, we not using the mic. Cause you can go up under the subway and hear brothers, broom, broom, broom. You know, so we were just throwing out different names. So I said, what about Sons of Thunder? So one brother said, no, man, that sounds too hard. I said, well, how should I call the disciples? But I ain't gonna ring Sons of Thunder. Brothers looked at one another. Okay, let's go with that. And then you had Sons of Fire. You had Ambassadors of Yahweh, 44th camp.
That's right.
And I can't remember them all, but the Boston camp with Saadia, they were called the Northern Kingdom because you had Saad, I think from Asher, and then you had the other brothers from different tribes, Ram from Reuben, you had Gadites in there, you had Benjamites, Ephraimites, you had all the northern tribes in his school, so we called them the Northern Kingdom. Yeah, so that's how those names came out, and that's why brothers still use it, like Israel United in Christ, IUIC, ISUPK, GMS, H.O.D.C. So we still use those initials. It started from back at One West.
Right, and like Ash was saying, the structure, they had to set up structure because so many brothers were coming in. The Most High was bringing in brothers. I mean, the teaching was going out, and we would the brothers, the messengers of the Most High, the prophets of the Most High were going out teaching, and so brothers, were coming in. They were coming in faster than they could really set the structure. So that's why you had the officership. And the officership went from, officer 10, 20, 50, 100, and then it went to officer 500 and, 1,000 and so forth. Then you became a general.
6 shield,
And 1 shield general, 2 shield, 3 shield, 4 shield, 5 shield, 6 shield, whatever. And so they had to set up some sort of structure. Understand? So from what I see, and we're talking about, Marshall being the head, the leader of the school. All right, and Marshall was like a father too. Okay, from when we split from One West, I got a little bit more closer to Marshall, and he would tell me certain things. But Marshall helped take care of a lot of brothers in that school. A lot of brothers. Marshall would take the shirt off his back and give to you. All right, you wouldn't know he's the leader of the school unless someone pointed him out, because Marshall can mix in with anybody, and you wouldn't know it. He was that kind of, he was down to earth, really down to earth. He didn't exalt himself, he was humble, It was down to earth, that type of brother. So, and you know, Ariel was more like the teacher, and then you had Yaiqua, same, humble, but more like the pillar. So those were the three, and then you had the other 7. So you had, and then from Ariel, then you had Lahab, then you had Yeshaya, then you had Shaw, and then you had Kazak. Those were the 7. So when brothers hear about who are these 7 leaders at this former One West school, those were the 7, okay, that ran so-called, you know, what we call One West 125th Street. So they ran it, but it was the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. And when the brothers started really coming in, I'm talking about from the late 80s to the early 90s, that structure had to be set. And so Marshall came up with an idea called the Trooper Program. And that Trooper Program, well, this is in like 92, 93, 94, like that. And this Trooper Program went very well. Everybody had to be in it. We're talking about from the generals on down to, you know, the new brother coming into the troop. Had to be in the troop. And we're talking about hundreds of brothers. Hundreds of brothers. All right, all had to be in the Trooper Program. We're talking about on Sundays, very early. From sun up on Sundays to sundown on Sundays. You were in the class. You were in the troop program, the karate program.
You was getting everything.
And the teaching. And brothers would teach in the classes. The law was taught, the gospels were taught, and the history was taught. And then you would go to training, and you get the full package, the full program. And so, well, here at the House of David, we call it the Steward Program. But still, nonetheless, we got it from One West, from Marshall when he instituted the Trooper Program. So it went very well. And brothers who came through that Trooper Program, these brothers are now, a lot of these brothers have camps, they have schools, because that Trooper Program gave them that foundation. They were able to learn the scriptures, they were able to learn understanding how to self-defense. They learned everything. Okay, so you can now go and set up your own. This is what Marshall said. When you go through this Trooper Program, you're going to be able to set up your own school. Because there's too many brothers coming in that school. Yet they had to. And as once we split from the school, we realized just before the split, there were schools in Boston, like you said. There were schools in California.
Mexico.
There was a school in Mexico. There was a school in Atlanta. There was a school in Jamaica. Okay, so we had all these schools. So the Most High started branching out anyway. All right, but of course the split came, and then of course brothers went to different cities, and then schools started happening, being set up, and this is what you got now. Schools in every city.
And this was the era before YouTube and Facebook.
Oh yeah,
all that stuff.
Social media. Before social media.
Way before that.
We did this all before social media. So brothers who are YouTube stars and think that they're gonna, get a school because of YouTube. Well, we did this before YouTube. See?
And remember though, when you first came through the school doors, right? Marshall always said, look, get your Marshall's papers, stay with us 7 years, and once you complete 7 years, don't hang around me. Go out and set your school up. Well, he always said that.
He always said that.
But it didn't mean for you to go set up a school and set up your own separate school.
Negative.
You just become a branch of the headquarters. Because he always said that spend 7 years with us and then you go set up your own school. But like Barack was saying, when the program came, it was a program that was already instituted. Now years prior, myself and Tahar and Ben, you remember we was in the back of the school by the bathroom. Lahab was back there. Rahab, Tahar, you, myself, and a few other brothers going over the staff techniques. And we was trying to institute something then, but it didn't stick. But later, when the Brooklyn camp was established, the SOT to Mount Zion, we was always training. So what I had mentioned this to Yahshua, and I said, look, brother, why don't you go to Lahab and so forth, and let's get all the officers in Central Park and start training. Let's build a program. And he said, okay. And he went. We had a council. The council was set. And that following Sunday, you had about 100 officers out there. See, this wasn't for the new brothers, which was later called troopers. They were just for the officers. At least 100 officers was in Central Park that Sunday. So Marshall was in the hospital at that time. Now, when Marshall got out the hospital, that's when we had that second building on 125th and Lennox. We was upstairs training, and Marshall was sitting, you know, watching the brothers train and so forth. And Ariella had came back from California, came back with Kawakab, Mashaba, Zainala was still there, and he had another brother, I can't remember his name, you know, big brother, big fro. So Ariella kneeling to the side of Marshall. That's when Marshall had the security. So brothers were standing to the side, you know, so Ariella was like, Marshall, I need something to do. You know, I'm back in New York, I need to do something. So Marshall already know the officer program is already set up. So now it clicks in, what I'm gonna do with these young guys, these young members. So Marshall said, you know what, take the young guys, train them, and call it the Trooper program. And the reason it became Trooper because Lahab used to always say, Shalom Troop, yo Troop. And that was right upstairs on 125th Street in Lennox. And Ariella said, I need something to do, Marshall. Okay, brothers got the officers, they training them. I need some work to do. I'm back in New York now, I need some work.
I can say it too.
And may Ariella rest in peace. You know, because he really implemented that Trooper program and got them brothers ready. Like you see brothers out there now. They came out of that Trooper program. I can't name them all, I can't remember, but I know Zabat was in it, Danyala was in it, and there's a few other brothers I can't.
From Jersey.
Kahan was in it, A lot of the brothers came out of that Trooper program, bro.
Like I says, and when Ariella took hold of it, him, Mashaba, and Kawakab, they took that thing to a level, man. We had in Harlem locked down in the park, man. Marching, drilling, training.
Everything.
That Trooper program, man, there's like 300 men out there every Sunday morning, man. Uniform, man. Doing the whole 9 yards, man. Doing the whole flank, left, right face. Doing the whole routine, military rundown, man. I think it was on point. A lot of bros came up from that, man. And that's why you also see UPK with Yohana, they call it the Hebrew Academy.
Okay.
They got it from there.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
And you see Nathaniel, he did it when he did his march out there was in Tennessee. He got the idea from that, the program. You understand? And so all that, so a lot of bros took the good that we learned from One West. And that's what we should do. We should take the good that we learn. Don't take the negative, but use the positive to build on. You understand? So I have to give props to Ariella, Mashaba, and Kawakab, and Zion Allah. Those were the brothers that built that Trooper program, along with the other men that they set up to help run it.
Because they took it, you know, when the officer class was started, when Ariella came back, he took that young man's class, and but he took it to a whole nother level. So now you have your different divisions and different splits. Brothers still had what they learned still in their head. They were still able to go out and set up camps. They didn't say, well, since the leader such and such and we done split, so I'm gonna go back to the streets now. No, they went and set up schools. See, they didn't go back and start back smoking and get lost in the world. They began to set up school because that's what that Trooper program taught. Okay, continue to keep moving. That's what Marshall pushed. You stay with us 7 years, okay, get your papers, get away from me. Okay, go set your own school.
And this is what you have. This is what you have now. I mean, when brothers were able to, you know, once the split happened and brothers were able to go out into different cities, some brothers set up their own school. They didn't just stop because there was a split there. Start your own school and go out. But it took, you know, it's sad because it took a split for that to really happen on this level. Understand? That's why we have the Mashra Sha'ala. We're saying, look, we all one. So let's come together, let's gather ourselves together, like the scripture says, and network and communicate. And not all the separation and competition. Because we know it's not about that with the Mosai. All right? Because there's other camps out there that know something the house of David don't know. We know something that the Mosai gave us that those camps don't know. So we come together and communicate, we bring it all together. And that's what it's all about. But Marshall tried to implement that, but of course he had a lot of pushback. Understand? And that's, you know, that created the split and so forth.
Right. And when you know, when we say brothers came out of One West and so forth, and brothers came from the house of David, you know, we know Marshall's past.
Right.
But what we mean when brothers come from the house of David, you know, we mean it when Marshall was there.
Right.
Okay, they all came along with us under Marshall. Okay, we kept the name, but the other brothers moved on, but they was from the house of David under Marshall. Not saying that they under us, they was under.
No, they
was
wasn't
all under Marshall.
Well, let's explain. When we left One West in 1995, okay, we established under Marshall the house of David, and from the house of David, a lot of those brothers you see out there now came from the house of David. So Marshall said the Spirit came upon him. He went to the scriptures to call the school the house of David. Not because brothers, brothers out there saying he called himself House of David, David, King David, and so forth. Marshall went to the scriptures, and as you know, the house of David is the 12 tribes of Israel. We know that when you read the scriptures, so that's where he got it from. And so when Marshall passed, we just kept the name House of David. And so this is why we're here now at Howard Avenue, 191 Howard Avenue. We still kept the name House of David. So like I said, not that brothers came under us, but when Marshall left One West, we went with Marshall, and that split happened with Marshall. We established the House of David, and from then on,
the rest is history. The rest is history.
The rest is history, right?
And with that being said, I think this is a perfect place to stop, because you have, just in terms of this interview.
Right.
But one main thing that I'm taking from this interview here is that before the branches kind of came through, that what we would know modern day, right? From Brothers Entering the Truth Now, different schools, different camps, the format is still there, right? You still have the naming formats, the acronyms, right? In one way or another, the trooper programs, the marching. So this thing is worldwide by now because of these elements that were closed door conversations.
Right, the comics, the dress code, all that.
With brothers saying, what are we going to call the younger brothers? And what we have today is brothers entering these programs under rigid formats in terms of learning who they are and getting disciplined.
I mean, just like brothers think, they go make a garment. With the garments, when we had One West, the garments you see today was nothing like what we had at One West. I learned how to wrap my turban in One West. The garments you see now with the girdles and everything from One West, the studs and everything from 125th Street. Okay, all that came out of One West. All right, so there were a lot of things that came out of One West that now is on different stages and different levels now, but it came out of there. Understand? And so we're just now, the Spirit of the Most High has it where we're growing now. They were growing. And so One West, foundation, but now we're growing to different levels now. Because now we're learning about Mount Zion, understand? We're learning about Jerusalem, Mount Zion. So we're learning different stages. We're learning things about the high holy days on different levels, all right? The new moon on different levels. So we're just growing. Different things, the 12 tribes on different levels. So, but that was a foundation. So like Ben was saying, you can't just talk about the negative. You got to talk more on the spiritual and the positive aspects of what the Most High brought us back then, because we needed that back then. We needed that. What we went through at One West, we needed that. So,
one more thing. Speaking about the garments, I'm gonna be brief. Sitting around the older brothers, the 7, sitting around them and then hearing stories. I got it like this. Like the garments, brothers were saying, they said that Lahab went in the scriptures and brought out the studs. That's why when you see, bro, when I came in and saw brothers with the studs and the jean outfits and so forth, you see studs on the garments. And the girdle, brothers said that a brother by the name of Parakim went in the scriptures. We call it rock. He came up with that. And the chariots that, how I got it was Kazak. Went in the scriptures and came up with the chariots and started pushing that. And Yeshaya, the history and so forth.
The Dark Ages and all that.
Kazak was into the history, and they used to bring it to Ariyah and Lahab, sitting across in the other room. Just sit over there, with your mouth shut and you take notes. Because you can't interrupt them if you don't know nothing. So you just sit and listen, take notes, and let them kick it, man. So that's that.
Right, okay. Unless you have anything else to add, we can close it right there, and I see it. a few different topics that will come out of this interview, just based on potential,
okay, well.
dress code, and why.
It'll be a part 2.
Yeah, if we could definitely do a part 2.
I want to say, this is not, what we just did is not negative and no other schools or camp to say we bashing or discrediting nobody. This is a collective thing that was done by all the camps and bros when we are One West.
That's right.
So this is not to bash nobody in particular. So get that straight, because Israel loves to run with negativity.
Negative, yeah.
All right?
All right.
All right.
So I just want to say, Shalom.
Shalom.
All right.
Ask an elder, H.O.D.C.